All right, good morning, friends. Actually, I guess it's now afternoon. And my name is Curtis Robinson, and I wanted to go over just a couple of things that I've been trying to explain to people for some time about the major expenses that our government is currently endeavoring to pay. So I'm going to share my screen. Guys, please take notes if you want to, but share this video to people that don't understand and help them make a better decision. By the way, this could be political in nature. You feel free to share it with your political friends or just share it randomly on Facebook and see what people think. Let's share the screen here. Let's see. Righty. Boop. Let's see if that works. And share. All right. So the first thing I want to show you guys is this is the usdebtclock.org. Now, some people are going to say, well, that's not really good data. From what I understand, this comes directly from the CBO, the Congressional Budget Office. And there's a lot of numbers going on here. Let me direct your attention to a couple of these things and let's do some math. I think that it will be evident once you kind of start looking at this. So first of all, we've got a national debt. That's hundreds, thousands, millions, billions, trillions, 35 trillion. Don't get too wrapped up around that. That's a big problem. We're not going to address that right now, but this is a good thing to kind of look at. Instead, let's move over here to your tax revenue. Now, when you look at the tax revenue, this $5 trillion, right? Hundreds, thousands, millions, billions, trillions, $5 trillion, right? It comes from about $2.3 trillion of income tax, about $1.6 trillion of payroll tax. So you're already looking at, there's two, that's three, that's roughly, 4 trillion right there. And then there's some excise tax and some other corporate tax revenue and tariff revenue and so on and so forth. So look how small this corporate tax revenue is. And that's not because they don't pay a lot. The corporate tax revenue is small because there's not a lot of corporations that fall into this category. Almost everything small business falls back into some income tax, right? That's why there's so much income tax. Small business is going to be there. Okay. Now, when you're kind of looking at that, you're like, okay, we got $5 trillion, right? Let's zip back over here and let's look at the largest budget items, right? So we've got 1.8 trillion for Medicare and Medicaid, 1.4 trillion for Social Security, and almost $1 trillion in national defense. Guys, you don't have to be a rocket scientist. And heck, I'll pull up my calculator here just for you guys. Let's make it small, just so you guys can kind of see. But in trillions of dollars, right? $1.8 trillion plus $1.4 trillion plus $0.9 trillion. That's $4.1 trillion. These three bills are devouring, almost everything that we make. Now that we do have interest on the debt that we also have to pay, so kind of keep that in mind. All right, I'm going to minimize that. We're going to go back to the calculator. But when you look at these three bills, this is what I want to talk about today. These three bills, Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, and national defense. I'm pro national defense, so I'm not going to hammer too hard. It's always been between 500 billion and 1.2 or 1.4 trillion dollars, depending on how many wars that we have going on. So kind of keep that in mind. Let's talk about this Medicare, Medicaid. Now, I did some interesting things. How many Americans are over the age of 18? We're going to talk about that. About 258 million out of 330. So the rest of those are kids. Okay, so under 18. So about 258 million is going to be our planning factor. So let's go back over here, okay? So when you kind of think about Medicare and Medicaid, it doesn't cover everybody. It doesn't cover everybody. Medicare covers people generally speaking, who are 65 and older. The Medicaid only covers Americans who are in the lowest level of poverty. But that's $1.8 trillion, okay? So let's remember this planning factor, right? Let's look just the people that are working. These are working adults, generally speaking. Not everybody's working, but let's just say 258 million people could have access to this money to get their own health care, okay? So let's put that number in there. So we're going to look at All right. So it's 1,828,549,000,000, roughly 190, and then 3 zeros. Oh, is that too many zeros? Nope. So that's hundreds, thousands, millions, billions, trillions, 1.8. All right. Now, again, this number is going up faster than I could even type it in. So keep that in mind. Let's divide this. This is every year by this, what we pay this every year. Let's divide that by the 200. What did I say? 258. Let's divide it by 258 million. So we got the divide by 258. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. That's hundreds, thousands, millions, right? That's $7,000 for every single person in the United States over the age of 18 to use for their own health care. Let's talk about that for a second. Let's divide that 7,000. Let's divide it by 12 months. Imagine if instead of you paying this tax, because Medicare, Medicaid comes out of, I think it's FUTA and SUTA. It's a tax. $590 per person per month. Now, I've got 4 kids, right? And 2 of those kids are not yet 18, but 2 of them are. So let's say that it's my wife and myself and my 2 older kids. We're getting this. Let's multiply that times 4 people in the family. I could be getting a health care plan for my whole family, even the 2 people that are under 18, for $2,362 per month. We get rid of Medicare and Medicaid, and everybody could be covered for this amount of money. Look at the numbers again. Don't be confused. This is what we're spending on Medicare and Medicaid. A lot of these are administrative costs. You know, it's a huge federal bureaucracy. Those people have to get payroll. They have to get paid. Then they ultimately are paying docs for any kind of services that are needed. And for the Medicare people, some of these people are on hospice. It's very expensive. And a lot of them are on prescription medication. That's expensive. The Medicaid people, if they're in poor health, then that's extremely expensive. A lot of Medicaid people are actually in good health because they're not advanced in age, but there's a lot of those people that are in the poorest of the poor. And it doesn't even cover those people in between. Imagine if you're not 65 and you're making above the poverty line, you don't qualify for Medicaid. You get none of this. None of this money, none of this $1.8 trillion comes to you until you turn 65 or until you go broke and you don't have enough money to cover yourself. A 6-person family could get an incredibly great insurance plan for healthcare for $2,300 per month. Let's say that let's divide this back out by 4 because I put 4 people in there. Let's say that you're a single person, you're 18 years old. I got a 19-year-old son and a 21-year-old daughter. They're on their own. They're single, going to college. My son's actually on a mission. Daughter's in a college. $590 per month is what she could use to buy her own healthcare plan for one person. That buys a lot of health insurance, a ton of health insurance. I say get rid of Medicare and Medicaid, and everybody gets the $590 back. Now, let's say you're thinking, well, Curtis, how would that work? If they're not collecting it as a tax, then where is that money? Where are they getting that money from? Well, they're taxing people that are working. So let's say, for example, there might be people that aren't paying any taxes. They wouldn't get the $590. There's people paying a ton of taxes, and their contribution wouldn't help the people that aren't working. Fair enough. Let's say that we keep the tax, right? We keep it. But then everybody gets this $590 to do whatever they want with. Hopefully you buy some daggum insurance. Needless to say, the government bureaucracy is so bad and it's so expensive that's why we're paying so much. I hope I've hammered that down. Go back and rewatch that if you need to. Let's go into the next one. Let's look at Social Security. Guys, Social Security, $1.4 trillion every year in FICA. This is our FICA tax. Look on your pay stub. You're paying into this program. If you live to be 65 years of age, you can take early Social Security. If you are like me and you don't retire early, you're going to be 67, you're going to collect the regular amount, or you can wait till you're 70 and get a little extra, but you don't get it for as long. Assume that you live 10 years. You get it when you're 65, you live to be 75. You know, you've been paying into this thing since you were freaking 16 years old when you got your first job. It's an exorbitant amount of money that they've taken from you. All right. So when you're kind of looking at that, let's see what this divvies out to. Again, remember that there are 258 million people 18 years of age. Let's see what we could be doing with that. All right, so let's say that we take this 1.492, 1,492, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, hundreds, thousands, millions, billions, 1, 2, 3. All right, that's trillion, hundreds, thousands, millions, billions, trillions. And we're going to divide this by 158. Divide it by 158. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. That's million, hundreds, thousands, millions. That's $9,443 per person per year that you could put into an investment instead of paying Social Security. And then when you're 59 and a half, not 65, then you can take this out. Let's look at a financial management piece of software, right? Let's see if this amount of money, we're going to cut the change, just going to hold on to that. I got an investment calculator here. Let's say that you start when you're 8 or 16, you got zero, just put in there, zero. And you're going to do this for, let's say 20, let me see. We want to go to roughly age 60. So you're looking at 40 years. Let's just say, let's go ahead and say 42 years. All right. Let's say you're going to invest for 42 years, just at 6%. Your annual contribution is what they're taxing us at. 9. This doesn't seem like a lot of money, but over 42 years, it's going to blow your mind away, right? It's going to blow your mind. Watch. Contribute at the end, the beginning of each year. We'll lose the first year. End of each year. Calculate. This needs to be 0. Calculate. Only at 6%, you would have an ending balance of $1,666,599. Now, guys, let's look at that number. Let's copy that. Let's go to our calculator. All right. Clear all that. Let's put this number in there. Paste. That's what you got at 6% because it's compounded over 42 years. All right. There's enough money that we spend every year on Social Security for the administrating, the bureaucracy, and then paying out for disability and all these other things. If you're 59 and a half and you want to take out this money per year, let's say that you're going to live to be 59 to 69, 79, 20 years. You're going to live to be 79. That's 20 years. Let's just divide this million by 20 years. Boom. That's $83,000 a year you could live on after, instead of Social Security at $2,000 a month, you're looking at 83,000. Let's see what it is per month. Divide this by 12. $6,900 per month. My mom and my stepdad and my dad are on Social Security, friends, and I think they make about $2,000 roughly, maybe a little bit more, maybe $2,200 a month on Social Security. Why in the world are we still doing Social Security? If you guys are thinking to yourself, Curtis, people are too stupid to invest on their own. Anybody can invest, or you can pay somebody to invest for you. But let's just say we can't do it. It's impossible. We can't convince people to invest. They'll spend it on drugs or alcohol. They'll spend it on tobacco. They'll spend it on lavish vacations if we give them this money. Fair enough. Let's say that we continue to tax people, but instead of it going into Social Security, when they get 59, this is what they get. They get $1 million and some change, right? $6,922 given back to them. You could live off of that. You could pay a house payment, car insurance, your health insurance, light bill. $6,900 is good money. You can do that. All right. But this is what every person over the age of 18 would get put aside for them if we just kept doing what we're doing with Social Security and didn't give it to the government. We gave it to what I call a choice plan, an option. So let's say if somebody says, no, Curtis, I love Social Security. I put money in it. I believe in it. I'm just going to do what I've been doing. Fair enough. Fair enough. You can choose it. But let's say that you're 18 and you say, I don't want to do Social Security. I saw Curtis's video and I'd rather invest. Give me back my money. Give me back my portion of the money. If that's the case, then they invest into an IRA or 401k or some other kind of interest-bearing account instead of letting the federal government rob this thing. It's insanity that we're doing this. Okay. So again, when you look at this amount of money, I mean, this is a lot of money. $6,922 per month would be your retirement income if we took what the government's wasting on Social Security and invested it instead at 6%. By the way, let's look back at this. Again, you start with 0 at 18. For 42 years, you're going to invest this by a tax. It's against your will, but still, it's better than Social Security at 6%, right? And this would be what you would get. You know, it's just insanity what we're doing right now with this, with Social Security. All right, let's close that. So, guys, when we're looking at national defense, that is a crap ton of money. It's not the same as if, well, you get a part of the military. You know, if we look at this number, well, this is your Social Security, or this is your portion of the Medicaid. As a nation, this is what we're spending on payroll for soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines, for example. It also goes into a lot of other things, paying for wars. Right now, we're $100 billion into Ukraine. God bless the Ukrainians. I hope they defend themselves well with our money against Russia. I don't know how it's going to work out. By the way, yesterday was election day. Donald Trump was elected. That should give you a framework. We're roughly at, today is the, gosh, I don't have my glasses on. I think today is the 5th. Is that right? 5th. Okay. Needless to say, I'm sorry, the 6th. Today is the 6th. Needless to say, when you look at this and you look at the war in Ukraine, we're paying a crap ton of money. We've given them $100 billion, and our national defense budget is $900 billion. We've given Ukraine a tenth of what we spend on our whole national defense. We're also giving Israel money, by the way. When we were fighting in Iraq and Afghanistan, that was $20 trillion or some god-awful, it was like $1 trillion a year. It was a god-awful amount of money for war. I hate war. I'm a soldier of 24 years. I've been to war twice. But to defend ourselves and our allies, we might want to have the best ships, the best planes, the best trained soldiers, the best equipment. That also means we got to provide for them payroll, and military bases are expensive and so forth. It's difficult. So I'm not sure what to tell you about this national defense piece, but if you like being free here in the United States, you don't want to be invaded by, China, Russia, or some other, Iran or somebody, we're going to have to spend money on that. But think about it in these terms: of these 3 different most expensive bills, two of them, we could completely change, amend, or, refurbish so that we can get more benefit out of it, or we could cut them to a minimal amount. We don't need to be spending all this money. Many people are going to also agree you don't need to spend that much money on national defense. I don't know about you guys. It's a hard thing for me to question, because I know that fraud, waste, and abuse are the 3 big problems with any government agency, but particularly the military. I know that we blow money on things we shouldn't, and we waste money, and we You know, heck, we just threw away billions of dollars in Afghanistan when Joe Biden left, you know, military equipment, helicopters and tanks and all kinds of stuff. He left a ton of stuff, a ton of equipment over in Afghanistan when he recklessly pulled us out without a good withdrawal plan. Guys, ask yourself, why are we paying this much money? Ask yourself, does it make sense? And then ask yourself, well, Curtis, what do I really need to do in order to, if I'm stuck, screwed over, if I'm stuck with Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, and I'm not benefiting very much from it, what can I do? I will just tell you that if you start with $0 and you're age 18, which means you got 42 years roughly until you're 59 and a half. And let's say that we're going to now compound this monthly because we're going to make a different kind of investment. And let's say, for example, that you're just going to put in $200. It's not going to be a ton of money, but over 42 years, it's not bad. You got $36,000. It's a small nest egg. Put a little bit aside. Let's say that you can manage $400. You're going to think this is going to be about double that because we just doubled this number. No, because of compounding interest, the more you put in, the more you get out. And you might not be able to afford $400 when you're 18, but you could afford $400 when you're 30 or $500. Needless to say, let's say calculate, it's going to go from 36,000 to 73,000, right? It's so much better with compounding over time. And really, when you're looking today, if you could put in a little bit more money, let's say that you put in $800 per month, right? I'm sorry, this is all wrong. Guys, I apologize. I should have clicked this. It's per month. Dang it, that's going to be a totally different number. Let's go back. $200. I did seem a little low. $200. There we go. I apologize. I didn't have this click. This was per year. You put in every month, you put in $200 and it compounds monthly. It's 450,000. Okay, that looks a lot better. I was a little nervous at first. I was like, gosh, it's got to be better than that. But let's say, for example, that you can afford to put $400. Here you go, $400 per month into an investment. You should be able to do this. Boom, you're almost at $1 million, right? Let's just go ahead and see if we can hit that $1 million by going here, 4.25. Close. Let's do 450. Boom. $450 a month from the age of 18. Let's say that you can't afford, because you're 18, you can't afford to make that contribution. Maybe your parents are going to start an IRA for you and they're going to put money in the beginning. Here's what I did. I built a 529 savings plan for all of my kids. They ended up not needing it for college. They had scholarships. They had one, my daughter went to ROTC. So she's got roughly $35,000 to start from age 21. So I'm going to change this to 39 years, even at 6%. Let's say, for example, that's 35,000. And she does nothing else, but for 39 years, this is compounding. It's just the IRA that she can move her 529 savings plan. Her college money, she can move it to an IRA. She's allowed to do that. That's $361,000 if she never adds a dime. Let's say that she just added $100. $100 a month. It's now $500 because I gave her this money. I put this money aside. By the way, I started her college savings plan, $100 every single month, and from the age 1. That was her first birthday present from me. I started this plan when she was 1 year old. She didn't care what she got. She was 1 year old. I could have given her a Barbie, right? But $100 per month for 18 years got her roughly $35,000. And again, it grows with interest and compounds too. So keep that in mind. Let's say that she's able to put in $200. That's where we started, right? She's going to be doing great now. Boom. $700,000. Not bad money. You didn't have to do a lot of work. I'm just telling you guys, it's just so much better for us to not spend money, waste money on Social Security. But if you are going to do that, you got no choice. We're stuck by the government. You could still invest. And I'm not an investment guru. You can tell by the mistake I made earlier. I'm glad I caught it and corrected it. But the bottom line is, there are things that we can do and things that we probably should do to take care of ourselves. Okay, let's see here. I'm going to stop sharing. and conclude. All right. What really is the point of this whole video? I want you guys to be informed. I want you to understand that when your politicians say we need Social Security, no, they're afraid to change Social Security because they'll lose all of the votes of people that are about 50 years old. I'm 53. About age 53, they're going to lose all their votes. Those people are afraid they're going to lose their investment. I can't say I blame them. I don't want to lose whatever money that I put into my Social Security account, but we should be able to feather it back into an investment or do something smarter than wait till we're 67, and I might live 10 years. I'd rather get it at 59 and live 20 years, if that makes sense. I'm healthy now, and I've got great insurance because of my military background. I'm on TRICARE. I think I pay $400 a year. That's about a tenth of what about a tenth of what most people are paying. People are paying $300-400 per month. So I know it's expensive, but you can do that if we get rid of Medicare, Medicaid, get rid of it, or change it, amend it so that everybody gets their own health savings account. And if you don't need it, maybe you can pass it on to your kids. Same thing with your Social Security. Nobody gets Social Security, or I should say, nobody can give Social Security to their kids like an investment. I have a 409, or if I have an IRA, I can give that money to my children if I die. When I die, my Social Security doesn't go to my kids. It could potentially go to my kids if I don't have a wife. The wife can collect it for a few years if she's not collecting her own Social Security. There's some rules to that, but it's not like I can lump sum them that money. That money goes back into the kitty, goes back into the pot. It's the biggest Ponzi scheme of all time. So I just want you guys to think about that. I want you to think about why we want to make some changes, why we should make intelligent changes, why we should be more responsible with the money, not just Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security. Let's be smart with national defense. We really shouldn't be wasting money on bureaucracy, and I think we are. Guys, my name's Curtis Robinson. If you like this video, share it. If you like the fact that I make these videos, you need to subscribe to my channels, and you need to click the notification button to get some additional notifications. Guys, I hope this is helpful. Leave me comments on YouTube. Be sure to like, share, and click the bell for notifications. And take care. God bless. God bless America.